Hello everyone, I'm Mark. Welcome back to our channel. I was recently working on my 71 Corvette and I discovered that where the hood hinges mount to the hood itself, on the driver's side, the fiberglass part of the hood actually cracked. That support did. And I don't really know what caused that. I think maybe when I had my hood, a previous video I showed where I had my hood latched down, I couldn't get it unlocked. I loosened those bolts and I forced the hood around to get it to pop loose, and I don't know if I cracked it then or a couple times I let it drop from a fairly high opening to close, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe it's too much of a jar to it. I don't know. But today's video is going to be me taking the hood off of the car and doing the fiberglass repair I'm going to have to do to it. Luckily, it's on the underneath side, so I don't have to worry about repainting the outside of the hood to try to match the paint up or anything. And where it goes, I'm just going to repaint that part black. It's kind of red overspray on it. It's not even completely painted black or red. So I think once I get done, I tape it all off and paint it. It'll look a lot better than what it does now. But I'm going to show you right now on the hood what I'm talking about. On the passenger side, you can kind of see it's fine. There's no crack around here. It's bolted in fine. So I'll go over and show you the driver's side. And I just happened to notice it the other day. I went to open it and I thought the bolts were loose on this hinge, and I kept looking. No, it's not that simple. You can see the crack up here, and it's starting to crack down the side. So I need to get this fixed before it cracks and this whole piece comes out and I lose the hood and drop it down and scratch it all up or something. Or what worried me is going down the highway, if this would crack the rest of the way around, if this side of the hood would lift up, the wind would catch it and rip the whole hood off the car. So luckily I caught it in plenty of time. There's still a lot of original holding it, so I can grind this out good and fiberglass it in, and it'll be just like new. So let me get the camera set up here. And of course, taking a hood off any car, even a Corvette, I mean, these hoods are fairly light. I can lift and carry it around easily by myself. But the problem is when you start taking bolts off and it's going to slip, it's trying to hold it in place and everything. It's just easier if you have two people. So my brother's on his way over and he's going to help me get this hood off. So let me get the camera set up here. He'll be here in a few minutes, and we'll get ready. We'll go ahead and take it off. Okay, so my brother Pat's here now, so we're going to take this hood off. So I've already broke the bolts loose so that you don't have to fight trying to do it while he's holding up his half of the hood here. So I'll get on this. Okay. So yeah, just kind of, I'm going to take this loose first. Okay. So I'm going to take the hood support bolts out first. Should have had my cordless drill set up. I could have just buzzed these right out. I don't like to use the cordless stuff because on fiberglass, I don't want to strip anything out. That's one nice thing that the previous owner, he replaced all this hardware on the hood, the hinges, the hood support, the latches, it's all brand new. So he did that with a lot of parts on this car. Okay, got that. Take this top bolt out and I'll take the bottom out so it might want to slip down on you. And I also went ahead and took a Sharpie and I marked around where the hinges sat here so that when I go to put it back on, that'll help me line it back up again. On a normal hood, I'd take an awl or something and I'd scratch a line in it. But with fiberglass, it's kind of like a piece of glass. You scribe a line on it and that's where you break it at. So I don't want to put a groove in my fiberglass, put it back on here, it's just going to crack right back on that groove again. So you always want to keep that in mind. You either use a Sharpie or a or a piece of masking tape works too. You can put it along the hinge there, so when you go to put it back on. Like I said, these hoods aren't very heavy. They're more awkward than anything. And I put towels down underneath the front of the hood there in case it slips down. It won't, hopefully it won't scratch the paint on the hood. That's where I ran into when I had to get it loose. That piece of metal sticking up right there, it's so close to that screw. Can't get a wrench on it. Okay, so we'll lift it off. Let's take it on over. Put it on the beam. Okay, you can see the cracks better around here now. It's actually cracked worse than I thought it was. It's cracked down the side here across the top and bottom, and it's got a little crack down in here. One thing you want to think about when you're repairing fiberglass, you want to eliminate that crack completely. It's just like a piece of steel. If you put two pieces of steel together and just run a bead of weld on top of it, it's probably going to crack right back through it because you still have that little bit of a crack there. So what you end up doing, you want to grind all this crack and feather it out down to where it's pretty much all the way through this fiberglass. And then you go back in and you re-fiberglass it using the fiber and then the epoxy. And you want it to be mainly the fiberglass fiber. You know, you don't want to fill it in with epoxy. You want to really put the fiberglass in there. That's where all your strength is. If it's epoxy, it's just like a piece of glass. You know, it's going to break easier than if you have a bunch of strings going through that piece of glass, kind of like safety glass. So keep that in mind when you're working with the fiberglass. Okay, we're back. We're going to start working on the hood now. What I have to do is I got to grind out the cracks, re-fiberglass them in again, and then sand them back down again and paint them so they all blend in again. Okay, just a couple safety tips here. Whenever you're working with fiberglass, okay, this is the resin I'm going to be using. It's a two-part resin. You have the resin and you have the hardener. You have to mix in with it just a few drops to the hardener or the resin. And then this is the fiberglass mesh that I'm going to be using. Okay, I like using this kind. They have kind of like a woven mesh that you can use, like if you're forming something. It works really good for that because it doesn't separate out. This stuff will come apart, and I kind of like that because, especially doing smaller repairs like that, you can peel this apart. Let me show you here a little bit. You see, I can peel some of this off, and you know, you can separate out the strands, so you can get it down in areas a lot better, and then you build up layers of this stuff. You know, you daub some epoxy on there or resin on there, put a layer of this on, daub it down, get it wet. You just want it wet. You don't want to flood it because you want thin layers of the resin with each layer of fiberglass. So you're building up multiple layers of fiberglass, and you can see how these all go different directions, all these fibers in here. So it makes a really strong bond, a really strong repair, so that hopefully your repair is actually stronger than the original fiberglass, or at least as strong as that. Okay, as far as safety with working around this stuff, if anybody's worked around fiberglass before, you know, you get that on you, it itches like crazy, and it lasts for days because it gets stuck in your skin. Because basically it's glass, it's woven glass. So you want to wear protection. Should have a long sleeve shirt on. I don't. Dummy me, I got out here, I forgot to put one on this morning, but I'm not going to walk away back up to the house to do that because I'd have just a little bit of work to do here. The other thing is, you know, wear some type of mask because you don't want to breathe in that stuff. You get it in your lungs, it's not good. You get it up your nostrils, it itches like crazy. You can't get rid of it. I mean, and it takes several days for it to work itself back out again. The other thing too, when you get all done, you want to go and get cleaned up. they recommend you take a cool or cold shower the first time when you go to take a shower to get rid of all this stuff, because you take a warm shower makes your pores open up, the fiberglass gets in your pores, it's even harder to get rid of. Now, I've worked around fiberglass a lot throughout my life, and I don't like taking a cold shower, so I put up with itching for an extra day because I'll take a warm shower. But anyway, that's what you're supposed to do. And again, clean up, make sure you're wearing a mask while you're cleaning this stuff up when you get all done. Like, you know, if you want to wipe up the dust, sweep up the dust, or vacuum up whatever, just be very careful. Try not to breathe in it. Don't let it get in your eyes, on your skin any more than you can help it. Luckily, I don't have to do a whole lot of grinding, so as far as that, getting on my skin's not that big a deal. If you're doing a lot of sanding, grinding on it, you get that dust in the air, then it gets everywhere. So I'm just got a little bit here on the hood, and I'll show you here now what I'm talking about. And luckily, it's just my one hinge on the one side is where the, let me crank this down first and get it set. And again, I don't know how well this is showing up on camera. Looking at a viewfinder doesn't look real clear. But anyway, this is cracked worse than I thought it was. Originally, I thought it was just cracked along the top and the side, but it's cracked along the bottom, and it's actually cracked a little bit down. Let's see if I can get this in here. It's actually cracked a little bit down in here. I don't know how well that's showing up. It's cracked down, but it's not cracked across here and back up again. So I have something that'll kind of hold it in place when I grind it out to refiberglass it. The other thing I gotta be careful of, before I took the hood off, you can see the line right here, and then the line going down right here. I marked it with an ink marker where the hinge plate needs to line up on the hood, so the hood stays lined up. I want to try to save those some way or another. So what I'll probably do is I'll run a piece of masking tape down a ways past, like back down to here, in line with that line, and do the same thing here, down and over to here. And then I'll get rid of the tape right around here where I got to grind it out, but I'll have this piece left up so I can put another piece to line it up with it and come back up over it both ways. And that way I'll maintain my location here. Now on this hinge over here, it looks really good. I don't see any cracks, other than there's a little, like right down here, and again, I don't know if I can do this. I got the tripod on this camera trying to spin it around. I think you can kind of see it right here, the beginning of it. It's just a little, I'm not sure how bad a crack it is. It almost looks like the paint just cracked, but I'm going to grind that out a little bit and at least maybe just fill that back in. The good thing is it won't affect my mounting surface or my lines where I put my lines on here to line up the hinge plate. So let me get going here. The first thing I like to do is I like to cut me up some pieces. Something about there. I like to cut up some pieces of this fiberglass so I have some stuff ready to go. And normally I like to lay it up on something like a paper or something to keep it from getting down into my moving blankets or anything like that. And I'll just cut out several pieces. And you don't want to mix up a whole lot of that fiberglass at one time, because once it starts setting up, it sets up pretty quick. So I just do, I might just do this area here and over here as I go. And then you want to do one layer at a time, and then let that set up, and then do another layer. Keep building up until you get it. I like to get a little bit higher than what I know is finished height. That way, when I go to sand it down, I can sand it down. I might have to hit with a little bit of spot putty to fill in little low areas or something, but it'll be nice and smooth and blend back in with the original surface, so that once you paint it, you'll never know it had been repaired. That's the goal. You want it repaired so it'll hold, but you also want it repaired so you can't tell it's been repaired. Not that you're trying to hide anything, but it's going to be good as new again, so why make it look like it's been botched? So I like to make it look nice. Anyway, that is what I start out with there. Now, the next thing I want to do is get my masking tape on here down far enough so I have a reference point when I go to put my lines back on here again. So let me grab some masking tape. Okay, I already cleaned the surface here, so everything should stick good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this down to where that lines up with my line that I had on there. Like that. And then just run it down each way far enough so you know when you get all done you'll still have something to go off of for a reference for that. Just stick it down good. And then I'm going to like that. There. Now that's where my line was this way, so now I'll do the same thing this way. And hopefully that'll be close enough when I put it back on the car, it fits good. And it'll save a little bit of time of, you know, lining it up. If you don't put these lines on here and you stick it on there, there's enough play in the holes on the hinge plate that it could actually, when you close it, it could actually hit up at the top because it can shift that much. So you want to try to get it back on there as close as possible so that you don't have it hit and chip or damage the paint anywhere else. And you always want to put, like I've got a bunch of old bath towels, so I'll put them down on the fenders and stuff so when you let it down it won't hit. The same way when I pulled the hood out, I shoved them down in the front here between this and the front of the car so it wouldn't slip and scratch anything. So okay, so now I can grind all this stuff off right here, and I'll still have this line coming down here and this line coming down here to line up on the same way here. I'll grind this back probably in here somewhere and probably up in here somewhere so I can feather that out and build this up so you get a nice good repair. And I'll still have lines, you know, left from here out that I can lay tape across and line them up, and it'll put me right back where it was before. So that's the plan. Now, I mean, you can do this several different ways. You can use an air sander and sand all this down. I just happen to like to use electric sander. You don't have a loud air noise and stuff, and it works really good. I use these flapper wheels to sand this down. Right now, you want it kind of rough, so you got a good bonding surface for the fiberglass to stick to. Once you start finishing it, after you get it all done, you want to use like a DA sander or something like that with finer sandpaper on it. This stuff here is it's 80 grit. I might have to change that wheel. It's kind of used down. So we'll try it here. Let me put a mask on. Make sure you get a good seal around it there so you're not breathing any of this stuff. Okay, there's a steel plate riveted into this area. I don't know if you can see up here. There's one up here and one on the other side where the other hood plate goes with threads in it. So that's what clamps the hood to the hinge. So you want to get down. I can just start seeing the metal here, so I know I'm getting down all the way through the fiberglass. So to make sure, basically you grind pretty much through that fiberglass because you want 100% of new fiberglass back in here. You don't want to leave a crack, because a crack is like if you score a piece of glass, you take the cutter and score a piece of glass, it's still one piece until you bump it and it cracks right in two. It's the same way on fiberglass or even steel. If you're repairing a crack, you want to get 100% of that crack out. So when you weld it back again, or you fiberglass it back in again, there's no seam there for it to start cracking back up through. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes. They'll grind down a little bit and just fiberglass it, or they'll grind a little bit and weld it, or not even grind it. They'll just run a bead of weld on it, thinking those two plates are going to stay together. And basically all you've done is it's like scoring a piece of glass. You've given it a place to start cracking again. So you always want to think about that when you're repairing anything. Try to get that damaged area completely out of there, so you have 100% repair. And as long as you do that and layer it up in thin, layer after layer after layer, don't just put 2 or 3 layers on here and fill it up with resin, you should have a really strong, good repair. If you look down in here, I'm hoping this shows up good enough. Let me bring the camera a little closer. If you look down in there, you could see all the little fibers from the original factory fiberglass. I don't know if that's showing in there, but you can see all the little fibers in there. And you can see, even on theirs, there's a lot of epoxy between those fibers. There's a lot of space. There's, 1/16 of an inch or so. Ours is going to be a lot better than that. Ours is probably going to be 90% fiber and 10% resin. So, and you think, well, that's not very much resin, but it's still, this stuff is very porous. It soaks through, so that fiber is completely soaked with resin. So it's not like you have just a little bit of resin holding this all together. It's a combination of the fiber and the resin together. So let me get a little more ground out here. Okay, I've got that ground out pretty good. You can kind of see. Let me show you from the side here. You can kind of see how much I ground out of that. Let me get that a little bit better. So I should have pretty much 100% repair there. And really the best way to repair fiberglass, if you have the ability to do it, unfortunately on this I can't, because this is a solid piece here, or not a solid piece, but it's closed up. If this was like a fender where you could get to the front and the back of it, you would grind a little over halfway through, say on the front, fiberglass that up, and then come to the back side and grind it back till you hit your new fiberglass, and then fiberglass it back the other way. So you would definitely have 100% repair, because even here, I'm going to have a little bit of an edge there. No matter how much I sand that down, I'm always going to have a little bit of an edge. I think I'll still be okay. I'm grinding down enough that it's going to be back really good. But ideally, you want to get rid of that completely. Unfortunately, I can't do it on this, the way this thing's made. Okay, I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. Usually I always use these brushes here to apply the resin and the fiberglass. But these things, I mean, they're not real expensive, but they're a little pricier than this. So this will be the first time I ever tried this. I'm not sure how it's going to work with that cotton, but I was going to try it once to see if that's going to be more economical than the steel handled brushes. Okay. And again, you don't want to mix up much of this at a time, because it doesn't take very long for it to decide to set up on you, and it'll be nice and runny, and all of a sudden it just thickens up on you. Just put a few drops of the hardener. It doesn't take very much. And it's very important, you want to make sure you got 100% mixture here. If you got any resin in here that's not mixed with a hardener, it's going to mess you up. It's going to leave a gooey spot in your repair, and then when you go to sand it, it's going to be gooey and sticky, and you're not going to have a strong repair. I think this is going to work okay. I think it actually helps mix the resin a little bit better. Okay. So basically what you want to do, see, that's starting to set up already. I think I put too much hardener in there. I'm going to start mixing this. Sort of sticking it on there. And you kind of see how it mixes in. Kind of messed up. I don't want to cover up my hole. See that fiberglass almost disappears in your resin. It's kind of neat how it works. And it's messy. So you just want to put on just enough to soak through the resin. You want to try not to see it left standing on there. Anything hanging off the side, I'm not putting too much on it because I don't want to build that up. But you can kind of see it. It doesn't look real wet right there because I've just put just enough resin on to make the fiber stick down and soak it down good. So almost got too much there. You can see how it kind of puddles. You don't want it puddling or anything. You want it just enough to hold the fiberglass in place. And I might not get this whole first layer on before the stuff starts setting up, so you just have to mix up a little bit more and keep going until you get your layer on. I like to let it sit and cure really good, and then do my next layer. I don't like to keep layering up right away. I like to let it cure out a little bit. Okay, I'm back. On this hood now, I put 4 layers of fiberglass on this. I didn't videotape that because it's kind of boring. But anyway, and I also stuck a couple bolts in those holes. That first layer I put on, I didn't do that. And as you can see, it's built up quite a bit. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rough sand it down and kind of see where I'm at, because it's kind of hard to tell. This thing tapers up and it goes flat and then it tapers this way, so I got to kind of blend all that in. So I want to kind of start doing that, and then I'll be able to see where I need to build up some more at. I'm getting closer, and then I still have to come over here and grind this out and do this side, but that one's not quite so critical as these to get my plane of the hinge area the correct angle and everything. So, and I've only got a little bit left there to go off of. Okay, so I got the hood all prepped. I went in and pulled off that insulation piece that was kind of tore up anyway, so I'm going to see how it looks when it's all done. I might just leave it off. Otherwise, I can order a new one from Eckler's. But I got my corner all fiberglassed up, sanded down, ready to go. I got the whole hood sanded down, prepped, wiped down, and normally I'll be spraying this with my spray gun. But I want kind of a semi-gloss black, not a gloss black, and all I have in bulk paint is gloss black right now. So I'm going to go ahead and spray bomb it the old-fashioned way. We'll see how it turns out. If I'm not happy with it, I might just had to break down and go buy some semi-gloss black paint and start painting it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some primer. I got it all masked off, so hopefully I don't get any paint where I don't want it to go. Okay, so here the hood is finished. I peeled my masking tape off around the outside. I think I'm just going to leave it all black for now. Personally, I think it'll look better. It won't look original, but I think it'll look better. And for this car, I'm not going for originality. I'm going for, you know, something that looks nice, so, and a good driver. And I can always come and take it off later and decide, you know, if I want to go ahead and paint it and then paint this. The only thing I need to do is I got to put the hardware back on it, and then I have to glue this rubber strip back on it. And let me show you this rubber strip. Okay. I don't know if you can see it there, but you can see how it's got the two flat sides on it, and those are the sides that get glued against a hood. And if you can see this, this is a brand new rubber strip. Whoever had the car before me, when they redid it, they put this new strip on. They used the, you know, some type of adhesive to glue it on there. But you can see, I just took and I just peeled it right off. None of the rubber stuck at all. None of the adhesive stuck at all to this rubber strip. It just peeled off real easy. And part of it was already hanging loose there. The only thing keeping it on there, I think, is the fact that when the hood's shut, it pushes it tight against the hood and it can't fall out. But anyway, what I found over time, anytime you're using, you know, put weather stripping on or any type of rubber trim like this, if you don't use a good primer for your adhesive, it's just not going to stick. I did a 77, and I put my brand new weather stripping on the door. I used the 3M weather strip adhesive. This is the kind I like to use. It's a black super weather strip adhesive gasket material. I think it's part number 8, or let's see here. Got it all the way down to the tube. I don't know how that's showing up. It's part 08008, and it's a 5 fluid ounce tube. And I like using 3M stuff. They make a really good high quality product. And then, but anyway, this is what I used when I glued that weather strip on for that 77 on the doors. And I shut the door and let it sit overnight, and I came back the next day, opened the door and touched it, and I could just peel it right off. I mean, it just didn't stick at all. So I bought this stuff. It's called 3M single step primer, and it's part number 08681. It's just a black liquid, almost like a little bit of a thick paint, and you brush that on your rubber surface that you want to stick to and the mating part that you want it to stick to. You put a coat of that on each one, and then you put your weather strip adhesive on both the rubber piece and the hood, and you let it sit till it gets tacky, and you stick it on there, and you're not getting it back off. You're going to tear it up to get it off. It really sticks good. So just keep that in mind if you're doing something like that. Just want to make sure you prep it properly, or you'll be, you know, having it fall off on you. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and put my hardware back on the hood and probably mount the hood back on the car. I just went in and ordered my new bottle of primer and weather strip adhesive, and it'll be here probably like next Wednesday. Today's Thursday, I think it's the 3rd maybe, or 4th, I don't know what it is, of November. Anyway, I'm not going to wait around to finish this video till that comes in and does all that. I might shoot, next time I do a video on the car, I'll shoot this and show you the rest of the hood I'll put back together. But anyway, okay, so I got the hood all mounted back on the car, lined up. Make sure it latches correctly and unlatches correctly. That's even more important. but it looks pretty good. I'm kind of glad I got a little dust on it there. Kind of glad I just went and left it black. I think it looks a lot better that way. And so I'm waiting to see if it seems to cause a problem with not having that heat shield on there. I kind of like it without it on there. It looks a little better, I think. It looks a little cleaner. And of course, like I said, these are all new. The previous owner replaced so many parts on this car before I got it. Saved me a lot of money not having to do that. So anyway, tomorrow, hopefully, my next project's going to be rebuilding the Quadrajet carburetor. So like I always say, if you like our videos, please hit the like and subscribe and share them with a friend, and please leave comments down below. I really appreciate any comments I can get. If you see I'm doing something wrong, or you got a better way to do it, or have any ideas, please let me know. I mean, I'm kind of learning as I go. I've been doing this a long time, but I still learn something new every time I work on a car. And biggest thing I'm learning right now is I'm getting to the point in my age, I don't know if it's fun anymore. So I might have to find another hobby that's not quite so labor intensive. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you on the next video, and have a great day.